Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 194. So I am using a new lapel mic. It's this wireless system from Pico that my videographer Christian recommended. He's like, yo, you got to check this out. And I will let you know, actually, you'll be able to hear if it's okay or if it's not or if it's clicking. I apologize. I've adjusted the settings, but you never know with this kind of stuff. But I want to dive into this vlog with a big win. The reason why I had my dukes up, ready to fight, an interesting side note. You wouldn't know something interesting about me. I don't know if you find this interesting or you don't. I have never been in a fist fight in my life. I have never been punched in the face. You would think with what I say and how obnoxious I am that that's actually surprising. But yeah, I've never been in a fight, ever. I don't know. I've never found myself in the... Now, that's not true. I've been in situations where, like, emotions have escalated, but I've always just been like, you know what, it's cool. Like, I've kind of, like, talked my way out of it or just, like, defused the situations. And it's something that I actually wish... I need to start boxing or something because I feel like I should have been punched in the face. And I think it teaches you something. At least in my mind, it teaches you something about the man that you are. But with this nose, are you kidding me? It would boom, like, oh, ah. Exactly. Where, why, how did we even start talking about the fact that I need to be punched in the face? I have no idea. The reason why my dukes were up, I could wrestle. I wrestled my ass off. I was a great wrestler, for the record. It's not that I can't, like, anyway. This is already weird. It's going to get weirder. So we have successfully, Tiege Hanley has successfully defended our intellectual property. So we have the trademark on uncomplicated skincare. The word uncomplicated. If you're in skincare, sorry, no sir, because we got it. We got it like 3.5 years ago. That was one of the first things that was one of the first like big like legal expenses other than us drafting up our operating agreement with Rob, Kelly, myself, and the chemist. Other than that, this was like a big deal for us to actually go through the headache, the expense, and the time in order to secure, you know, the word uncomplicated and uncomplicated skincare and a bunch of other things for us. But we felt like it was such a good tagline and it was something that we didn't want other people using that we decided that we were going to spend the money in order to secure that, which is kind of the business lesson. If you've got a great tagline or not an idea is more like something else, like a patent, but a trademark is like text and words and things of that nature. If you've got something, you should definitely file and try to get it secured so that nobody else can use it. Because wouldn't that suck if you started a business, a skincare business, and you're like, we're uncomplicated skincare, or I'm, you know, Johnny super sexy glasses, and then somebody else comes in and is like, yo, I'm super sexy glasses, and that's my tagline. See the difference? Protect yourself. That is what I'm trying to say. Protect your intellectual property. So here's how this worked. There's a big company, a really big company, a big men's grooming company that they do more than just skincare. I'm not going to say who because they were total gentlemen. Gentlemen's or gentlemen ladies about it, how they handled the situation. So we noticed that this company, you know, had skincare, and we saw on their website it said uncomplicated skincare, and we said, whoa, hold up, like I don't think they should be using that. That's ours. And so we went to our attorney. We said, hey, is this defendable? And they said, absolutely. The fact that it's pretty black and white. When something happens like this, you know, when you say, hey, you send them like a cease and desist letter to their attorney, and you say, hey, you're not able to use this because we're using it and we actually own it, and it's our trademark, and here's the date when it was given to us. And it's pretty, you know, it's really hard to argue that. And so I don't know like all of the details, but the fact is that we got a response from the company, said, yo, sorry, our bad, in a nutshell, and that's that. We'll take it down. We'll stop using it. No more. Now, I don't think it was on their products, but it was on their website. And so it doesn't matter where they're using it. If they're using it, that's ours. They got to stop. And so protecting yourself is something that is incredibly valuable. I actually, Pete and Pedro, let me show you. The first one that Pete and Pedro got was this one, Bueno Hair. It's cool, I framed it. And then I started going a little bit crazy because I was changing like my logos, and because I used the little donkey, I got the donkey trademarked, so nobody in hair care or grooming can use that. Pete and Pedro, the name, different stylized versions, and you get these little like certificates when you get approved and when you actually get it. And so Tiege Hanley has a bunch of them on a bunch of different things, but it's valuable because even if it costs you a little bit of money, I mean, look, you know, there's a big company who's got a lot more marketing dollars than we do, a lot bigger customer base, and you know, and we've worked really hard to build our brand from like a grassroots effort, and you know, we wanted to defend ourselves. And if you take the precautions up front, because here's the thing, by the time you think about it, a lot of times it's too late. Like, because wouldn't that suck if we didn't do it, but we're like, oh, it's cool, like we're gonna use, nobody else will use it, right? And then all of a sudden this other company uses it and is like, hey, this is pretty good, and they trademark it, and then they come back to us and say, you can't use it. That would suck, right? Of course it would suck. It would suck bad. All right, so now before I get to these business questions, I've got a question for you that I have been wrestling with recently. So I did about a year ago a house tour video where in the loft that I lived in, it was actually in the same building, my office, I lived in one of the other units. It was like 3-story, like super cool, like industrial townhome type thing. I did a house tour, not to like show off, just to be like, hey, I know that, you know, there are you guys out there that might be interested in, you know, where I live and more personal things. And I totally get that, and it was a great video. Well, I sold that and I built a new house. And I've lived there now for about a year. The building process took about like 16 months, and I loved it. And it really, like, building that house made me feel like closer to my grandfather, because my grandfather, Frank Cassoni, is like my big hero, and you know, he was a builder, and so it just, I don't know, I just feel this like connection with that process. And so anyway, it was a lot of fun, I loved it, and the house is finished, and I've lived in it for about a year now with my wife and 4 cats. And so the other day, Christian, you know, was here, and I was like, hey, why don't we film a house tour video? And he's like, okay, cool. But now that it's filmed, and now that I watched it, I feel weird about actually publishing it because I don't know how it's going to come across. I don't know how, if it's going to come across as, yo, just check out my place, or if it's going to come across as like I'm showing off and bragging. And so I need your help. I need your opinion. When you see people that do, like people on YouTube or business people or whomever, you know, do things where they're showing off like their car or their watches or their house or whatever it is, how do you take it? Do you take it as they're showing off? Do you take it as they're showing off? Or do you take it as like, you know, something like, oh, cool, that's something to like work towards, and it's sort of, you know, a goal. Like it helps you like sort of level set like your own personal goals. And I have been struggling with this really badly. And so I was thinking about releasing it this week on Tuesday, but I just don't know. Really, I'm still uncomfortable with it. But I want to know from your point of view, if you think that it's going to come across as like me just bragging, I'm not going to probably post it. If you guys say, yo, it's not bragging, Alpha, it's cool, like we get it, because that is one of the things that is something you're going to struggle with, I guess, from, this is getting awkward, and I'm getting uncomfortable talking about this stuff. But when you achieve, and this is something that I hope you achieve someday. When you achieve some level of success, you know, you've got other people that are around you that might notice, like, you know, you're doing well, or you might be doing well, and you might buy a new car, or you might move, or you might buy new shoes, or you might, you know, people might be able to tell that you're doing okay financially. And good for you. You've worked hard. You've busted your ass. Nobody handed you shit, right? But there are going to be those people that are going to view this and be a little bit jealous, I guess. And I think that's what I am. I'm just worried that it's going to come across as I'm being like a huge douche. And not that the house is anything like crazy nuts or anything like that. See, I'm already talking it down. But it's where I live, and it's a nice house, and I love it, and I just don't know. Like, I showed my car when I got a new car, when I got that BMW, and I kind of was real weird about that, because I come from I worry that people will see this, and it'll come across as just I'm bragging. Like, there are some YouTubers that I know that I see posting all the time, all this new stuff that they're getting, all this expensive this and that. And I feel like it sends the wrong message. I feel like it sends the message of like you should be materialistic. And it kind of bothers me. And so when I do things like that, like I don't think that I do it often. I don't know, maybe I do and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll let me know. But I come from a very different place. One of the things that, and I guess the reason why I struggle with this, I think that a lot of people, when they find like fame and fortune at a young age, or they have success like really quickly, I don't know that, I don't know how people handle that. For me, and I'm sorry that this vlog has gotten kind of weird and a little bit personal, but for me, I struggled my entire life. And so I mean, financially, like we were on food stamps, welfare, I had a life before I found any little bit of success and didn't have to stress about money every single day. Because for the majority of my life, up until I was probably like 35, 36, somewhere in that neighborhood, which was, I'm 43 now, like I worried about money from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed every single day. It started when I was like young. I couldn't go, this one story I tell people, and it reminds me, and I'm not gonna get choked up, but I do, it always makes me emotional. Like, I think I was like 13 or 14 or something like that, and there was this pizzeria, and I might have told you the story already. I've told it one time before. I don't remember where. There was this pizzeria right down the street from me that my buddy Nick and I loved going, and you could get a piece of pizza for $1.25. And I went to my mom and I said, hey, I would like to go get a piece of pizza. Could I have $1.25? And she didn't have it. Like, we didn't have an extra $1.25 in order to let me go get a piece of pizza. And so this is like, that's, one of my memories of being like, okay, your ass is poor. Like, I had my basic needs covered, but there was no extra money. So anyway, so I come from that, and I come from being Italian, right? And I'm Italian, and we suffer from immense guilt for everything. And I guess this is one of the things that I struggle with a bit, and feeling like I don't want to show like I'm successful, even though like I consider myself successful now. So I've struggled with this, and so this video I filmed. This video, depending on what you have to say, may or may not actually may not be posted. Down in the comments, guys, I want to know how you take it when people like YouTubers show this kind of stuff. Is it something to like look towards achieving? Is it motivational? Is it just cool to see something personal? Or is it super douchey and you take it as they're just showing off? And so I'm sorry for derailing this vlog, but I needed some feedback from you guys. And now I think I've hijacked this enough, and let's get to your business questions. But down in the comments, let me know your feelings. Should I show it? Should I not show it? And why? That would be very helpful. All right, guys, now your questions. First question is a great question. It's kind of YouTube related. It's from our friend Comer496. He says, Aaron, I'm curious why you decided to grow Tiege Hanley YouTube channel organically when you have the platform to grow it much faster. So for those of you watching this video, you're in there. And that was one of the things. I wanted this vlog to be an organic sort of, opportunity for me to sort of connect with you guys on a different level and talk about business and be a value add that way. I love this vlog very, very, very much. I love the ability to just come on and sort of ask you questions like that. And the YouTube channel that I have, it's just a different animal, and it's a different kind of viewer that's watching that. And I feel like you guys are more serious. And when you find this vlog, it's because you really are interested. I mean, they're long, and sometimes we talk about kind of obscure topics, but I don't feel like I don't want to like be like, oh, come and have people like expect that that's the type of content they're going to get here. And so I've chosen, and I have chosen to do this the old-fashioned way. Just organically grow it. And if you guys are interested in business, Tiege Hanley, or what I have to say, you're here and you dig it. Next question comes from our friend Chris Winter Photography. He says, business question. Any tips for hiring employees? I can afford them at this stage, but I also don't want to fall into the trap of getting them to do busy work just because. That's such a great question, right? Because there's this point in every business where it's like, all right, I've got more work than I care to do. If I bring somebody in, I'm kind of like committing to paying them a salary. And if I bring them in to pay them a salary, I don't want to waste my money. I want to make sure that they are being productive and they are adding value and helping me. And this is an amazing question. And I think everybody struggles with this. I would say that if you're at this point where there are things that your time, or I should say your time could be better spent doing other things as opposed to some of the smaller, minutia that this person that you could potentially be hiring and bringing in could handle, I say it's worth thinking about. But there also comes sort of this point at which you have to figure out, like, how many hours is this person really going to be valuable? And the thing that I have found for me personally is that whenever I've done that and be like, all right, well, let me try it. Yeah, there's a lot of work, and I hope that you fill up their time really fast. But part of it is you being a good manager. You can't just expect them to be very forward thinking and make sure that they are, being super productive. They can only be productive if you give them incredible direction on how you expect them to be productive and how you expect them to make things happen. And so really, I think the burden falls more on you and having a good plan. And so if you have a good plan, you hire smart, you find somebody that's going to take work and just the busy work and the things that you don't want to spend time doing on, I think it's absolutely worth it, but it's definitely something that you're going to have to sort of massage and figure out along the way. Next question comes from our friend Yassine, who says, what is your opinion on SMMEs? And so, hold on, I got to figure out what SSMEs are. Small, medium, micro enterprise. Learned something new. Let's see, back to the question. Okay, start over. So, what is your opinion on SMMEs and startups using management consulting or external services for their businesses if it came at an affordable rate for the size businesses? What is my opinion on this? My opinion is I think that a lot of companies, I think if you need it, I think it's great. I think in the beginning, I don't know that it's necessarily the best use of capital, but I understand the allure. Unfortunately, these companies that you hire to come in and consult or give you a little bit direction in terms of organization and organizational direction, they don't know the pulse or the living, breathing, entity that is your business. Only you do. And so what I would say is bringing them on too soon, I think, could be a mistake, because you don't want to make sure, you don't want their input to form the culture of your business. Now, I have seen firsthand that Tiege Hanley has hired some consultants to help us with certain things, and we got a lot of value from them. But it was typically when we had like one issue that we needed like a third-party perspective. Think of it kind of like therapy, right? If you're somebody who needs like counseling, right? For a specific issue, you go to like a marriage counselor, or you're trying to deal with, depression or whatever it may be. I think if you've got a need and I've identified areas in your business where a third-party perspective that is unbiased, that is going to be able to come in, sort of analyze your company and what you're needing, and then delivering solid advice, I think it's beneficial. But once again, kind of like the other question, you've got to know what you're needing and where you could use the help. And on the flip side, you also need to make sure that this company that's coming in has the skill set and has worked with companies like yours. Because the type of business that you're in, whether or not you're selling a product or it's software or whatever it may be, different businesses are going to require different skill sets. And so, yes, there are some things, like accounting and like HR, like there are consultants that, can handle like a broad, business, thing. But in terms of being specific, I think if you can find a company that works with industry or people, other businesses like in your industry, I think that's definitely going to be where you're going to get the most value. But I think it's fine if you need it. I think that you can figure a lot of stuff out yourself, and especially in startup mode, you don't have money to burn. You really need to keep those pennies in your pockets. And these consultant firms are expensive. And the last question comes from our friend, James Humphreys. What's up? Any advice, Aaron, starting a custom clothing line? Yeah, start it if you want to. I used to do like M apparel. When I had my website, I Am Alpha M, I used to sell like shirts and t-shirts and Henleys and things of that nature. And when I pushed them, they sold like crazy. When I didn't push them, they didn't sell that great. I was not passionate about the apparel industry. And the way that I sort of did it, I went to a place that sells like wholesale clothing. They were domestic, they were here. In the U.S., it was called Alpha Broder, and you get like a sales tax ID number or I forget, a reseller certificate or number. I forget exactly what the process was, but I got approved, and then I could go on, and they have like 30, 40, 50 brands that you get to see, like, oh, send me a sample of that hoodie from Bella Canvas, or hey, I like that t-shirt from Next Level Apparel. And so instead of you going to one company that sells like sort of wholesale, these blanks as they call them, or I call them, it sort of houses them all in one area. Now, if you want to do it a whole different way and get things that are custom, then I would definitely check out Alibaba. That's where, if you see like other YouTubers going on and developing like Alpha Lead and some of these other companies, they all start like looking at Alibaba, finding manufacturers, typically in China, and starting to work with them. A lot of these companies are used to working with US companies, and so the language barrier isn't that bad, but you definitely need to communicate and make sure that you are getting what you want, but it's a process. And then the biggest issue is going to be, how are you going to sell it? Because marketing is going to be your biggest issue. You can have the greatest t-shirt, the greatest pants, the greatest underwear in the history of pants, t-shirts, and underwear, but if nobody knows about them, nobody's going to buy them. And that, gentlemen, I think will be a wrap. I appreciate you so much, you have no idea. Tiege Hanley, we love you more than our double monk strap shoes. A lot of stuff after our quarterly meeting is sort of in process. We're working on a lot of things. We are developing and changing and testing and doing a lot of things. My fingers are crossed. I am nervous, I gotta tell you, about some of the changes we're gonna make, but you gotta change. You've also gotta be nimble enough as a company to change back if something's not working. But in order to do that, you've gotta make sure that you have some way of measuring what success looks like. Because a lot of times these companies will just change something and be like, oh, let's change this, let's change that. And you're like, oh God, you changed like multiple things, but you really don't know what happened and what sort of impacted what. And so don't try and change everything all at once. Systematically change, test, review the results, and then adjust from there. That is the advice I'm giving us and you as a potential entrepreneur and business mogul. Gentlemen, that's it. Down in the comments, if you've got a business question, make sure to ask it. Start it with business question and then ask. Next week, I got some other updates to give you. I also want to get to more of your business questions. But at the end of the day, gentlemen, you know the deal. We love you more than our double monk strap shoes.